For most businesses, packaging is just a cost, right? It's a headache, a necessary evil. But what if I told you it could be your next strategic asset? Let's dive in and see how we can make that happen.
Okay, so think about high-value sectors. We're talking tech, medical, or even heavy industrial equipment. All the focus, all the glory goes to the product inside the box. The packaging? It's just an afterthought. But here's the thing. That afterthought is what's protecting millions in assets. It's what keeps the entire supply chain from grinding to a halt. And that is the tension we're going to unpack today.
So how do we solve this? Well, the answer is a pretty radical new model. It completely flips the idea of ownership right on its head. And it's called packaging as a service. So what exactly is packaging as a service? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a ride-sharing service. Like Uber or Lyft. You don't buy the car, you don't worry about insurance or maintenance, you just pay for the ride when you need it. Pass does the exact same thing for packaging. You stop buying boxes, and instead you start buying a guaranteed, protected delivery. The supplier, they handle everything else. Let's put these two models side by side, because the difference is huge. Traditionally, you buy the packaging, right? That's a big capital expense, or CapEx. Then you're on the hook for managing storage, any repairs, and eventually getting rid of it. With Pass, the whole thing shifts to a simple operational expense, or OpEx. You just pay per use. And all that complexity, the logistics, the maintenance, the returns, poof, it becomes someone else's problem.
All right, so what's the actual payoff here? Because this isn't just some neat logistical trick. It's a really big strategic shift with major advantages for your bottom line, your day-to-day operations, and, believe it or not, the planet.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the green payoff. Because this whole model is built around reuse, it can slash your CO2 emissions by up to 62%. 62%! Compared to traditional single-use packaging, that is a massive, measurable win for your company's carbon footprint.
So you might be asking, how is that even possible? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. The packaging itself is designed from the ground up to be way more durable, and it's professionally maintained. What that means is it can be used 2, 3, up to 5 times longer than your standard boxes, and that just drastically cuts down on material waste.
So let's be super clear about what you're really getting here. It's not just a box. It's predictable, transparent costs. It's guaranteed availability, so no more scrambling. You get real, valuable data on your supply chain. And maybe most importantly, it's taking that huge headache of managing returns, repairs, and recycling completely off your plate.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work, in the real world? Let's take a look at the nitty-gritty logistics behind the service.
The whole system works as a perfect closed loop. So it starts when this smart, reusable packaging gets delivered right to your door on demand. You use it to ship your product, and it's tracked the whole way. Once it's empty, it's automatically collected, no fuss. From there, it goes back to be inspected, cleaned, and repaired for its next mission. Then it re-enters the loop, ready to go again. And even at its true end of life, after many, many uses, it gets fully recycled into raw materials for a new cycle. Absolutely nothing is wasted.
Now, here's where things get interesting. This isn't just a nice-to-have idea anymore. It's quickly becoming a business necessity. And that's because there's a really powerful external force that's pushing this change forward. So why the sudden urgency? Why can't businesses just kind of wait and see how this all plays out? Well, the reason comes down to one word: regulation. Specifically, we're talking about the new EU Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, or PPWR for short. And this isn't some far-off proposal. These are new rules that are going to fundamentally change how companies are allowed to use packaging, period.
So what does this actually mean for your business? Well, for one, reuse strategies, they're going to become mandatory. You'll have to actually prove you're reducing CO2 per package. Your whole supply chain will need to be redesigned for circularity. And here's the real kicker. Waiting is a huge risk. By the time these regulations fully hit, the expert suppliers, they'll be booked solid. And trying to play catch-up then, well, it's going to be incredibly difficult, not to mention expensive.
Okay, so this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. It's time to turn the lens back on your own organization. So let's do a quick final check for your business. Do you want to move packaging costs off your balance sheet? Are you looking for better control over your return flows and just knowing that you'll have what you need when you need it? Do you need to actively reduce your CO2 emissions? Are you struggling with all the complexity of managing a circular system or trying to avoid big capital investments? And of course, do you have to comply with the upcoming PPWR? Look, if you found yourself nodding yes to even a couple of these, that's a pretty clear signal that you should be seriously exploring packaging as a service, like right now.
So we end right back where we started, but now with a choice. After seeing the financial shifts, the green benefits, and those looming regulatory deadlines, is your packaging still just a cost, just a necessary evil? Or is it ready to become what it could be? A data-rich, circular, and truly strategic asset. The choice and the competitive edge that comes with it is yours.